Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Lane Perry, Executive Director of the Center for Community Engagement and Service Learning at Western Carolina University, and I'd like to welcome you to the 17th Annual Community Engagement Awards. And what a year it has been. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the core CCESL team, which includes Associate Director Jennifer Cooper, Assistant Director Amanda Hanson, and our Operations Coordinator Brian Garland, for the tireless efforts and undaunted energy invested in CCESL's mission. And personally, I'd like to extend a thank you to Chancellor Kelly Brown, Provost Richard Starnes, Vice Provost Carol Burton, the Executive Council at Western Carolina University, and all of the other exemplar leaders across campus and the community that kept us focused, engaged, relevant, and safe over the past year. I'd like to thank Professor Betty Farmer and Amanda Hanson for helping organize our live online auction, which I want to give a quick shout out to right now. We have around 20 great items that have been donated by our friends and supporters across the community. So go ahead and check it out, and happy bidding. All you have to do is scan the QR code with your phone's camera, and the auction ends on Friday, April 23rd at 5 p.m. Please know all proceeds go to the Center for Community Engagement and Service Learning Endowment. The words unprecedented, unforgettable, and challenging do not begin to capture the experiences of so many individuals, families, and communities that have forever been impacted by the effects of the global pandemic and the civil unrest, brutality, and shootings across our nation. Our time together today is about reflection, pausing to stop and take a collective sigh on where we have been and where we are, in hopes that when we restart and continue our journeys into the future together, we have not only had the experience of yesterday, but made the meaning of it to inform tomorrow. To have the experience and miss the meaning is heartbreaking in its own right. And today is hopefully our opportunity to take that collective pause. I'd like to take a moment of silent reflection here and now at the beginning of our time together to reflect on the more than 570,000 US citizen lives lost that have been lost due to COVID-19 and the police brutality and mass shootings that have taken too many, too soon from our communities and our families. Thank you. When March 2020 brought with it the greatest global pivot in modern history, which included the movement of thousands of classes and tens of thousands of students into virtual learning environments overnight at WCU alone, popped up directional signage in aisles of grocery stores across the US, the postponement, not cancellation, big difference we've learned, of concerts leading to the birth of at-home live-streamed concerts from our favorite musicians, the NBA's 2020 season as the first professional sport to pivot into a new operations model by closing for a short bit and reopening under new conditions. And for our center, like so many other ground level spaces across the US and in higher ed, a reimagining of our foundational programming, established in core policies, a reframing of our center's purpose, which at its core is to bring people together in a time where that wasn't entirely possible, led to and has informed the mantra that the CCESL staff has carried forward with us every day for the last year. And it is as follows: now is our time. We have to be indispensable. Not because we feared losing our purpose or funding or our jobs, but because we knew that our services, our resources, our core expertise were going to be needed now more than ever before. So we sought to do just this. We strived to be indispensable, or better, a more applicable word, perhaps useful in every way possible, every day. This manifested in myriad ways. some of which I will briefly share with you now. And this is some of the highlights from the past year. So this last year has resulted in one of the strongest grant producing years we've had in the center in all of the years that I've been at Western in the last 10 years and have been associated with the center. We were able to bring in over $100,000 in external funding to support our work across our community. Around $25,000 to $30,000 came in to support our student civic engagement work through our Student Democracy Coalition. The SDC focuses on voter registration, education, engagement, and reflection. In this past year, SDC, even with all of the COVID protocol we had to respect and put in place for safety, registered over 1,000 students through online voter registration, clipboarding, classroom and group visits, and same-day voter registration. SDC directly engaged over 2,600 voters in our on-campus polling location and through shuttling efforts, and indirectly connected thousands of voters through education and awareness efforts. Our Catamounts Care Student Ambassador Program helped keep our campus safe and open and brought in nearly $70,000 to support this program. This program was made up of 24 student leaders who helped slow the spread of COVID-19 on our campus and contributed to keeping us and our doors open for the fall and spring. For example, from July 2020 to March 2021, the state of North Carolina's positivity rate for COVID tests was around 8 or 9%. And WCU's during that same period was less than 3% on average on a monthly basis. CCSA contributed to this by striving to positively recognize and reinforce the Catamounts Care Health Ambassador campaign on our campus and be seen examples on campus. MAHEC and NC Policy Collaboratory were important partners to make that work. Next area of focus was our food insecurity campaign, which led to the development of the WCU Beats Hunger campaign, which was a partnership across Ingalls, WCU Athletics, and our center. This brought in nearly $6,000 to help support this work in the community. This allowed us the opportunity to hire 2 paid fellows, who I want to give a huge shout out to, Catherine Darcillo and Kaylee Roberson, who were exemplar leaders in this program in its inaugural state, and have an activities budget to actually help our fellows organize food drives with Ingalls and across campus to increase awareness of food insecurity in the region and much more. This year, they've raised over 5,000 pounds of food through our food drives in order to help support Jackson County Public Schools, which was a major initiative on their end. Another bright spot that we're very proud of is our focus on our endowment campaign. Over the past year, CCESL's fundraising efforts have brought in nearly $15,000 to officially establish the center's first named endowment for programming and supporting student learning and engagement. Please remember that online auction, and we'll give you that QR code again at the very end. But we were really excited about this, and something that happened back in December when we had our Giving Tuesday campaign in partnership with WCU Athletics was our campaign was able to bring in $10,000 that day through generous support from our friends across the US. And essentially what I learned from our advancement office was that was the single largest amount of money that was brought in for a specific program in the recent history of organizing fundraising campaigns for single day purposes outside of the funds generated by athletics. And so it was a really great achievement, and it demonstrates the collective effort that makes the work of the center possible. Next, the light continues to brighten, and our COVID-19 vaccination clinic is a really crown jewel for the work the university's been doing this last year and exemplifies the mission of being a community engaged institution. So we in the center received word in late January that WCU was going to host a regional vaccination clinic and that it was likely that it would be administering its first vaccination in late February. You can imagine the number of moving parts associated with that process, but throw in a timeline that we had to follow and simply stated, mountains had to be moved. The CCESL helped step up and help with the volunteer solicitation, management, and scheduling process to the tune of over 600 volunteers from our students, faculty, staff, and community. This volunteer database has become a resource for other clinics in the region as well. You'll hear more about this shortly. Finally, I want to give a recognition to our student force. This past year has engaged over 50 WCU students in paid positions. Without our student team, we could not have accomplished all that we did. While the CCESL has 4 full-time positions, it is our partnerships, our engaged faculty, and our students who provide the opportunity for us to literally be everywhere at the same time. And I want to recognize in this space our higher ed student affairs master student intern, Tom Newkirk, who hit the ground running and invested tireless dedication into our CCSA Catamounts Care program. Thanks, Tom. So with regard to leveraging resources that make us feel like we're everywhere at the same time without having to do that, I'd like to mention a few very special recognitions that have come at the state, regional, and national levels over the past year. Through the UNC system, we had the one faculty member across all 16 campuses that was recognized as the Governor James E. Holshouser Jr. Award. This award exemplifies what is expected of public state universities. The award demonstrates the community engagement hallmark of our public service mission. I want to dote on Professor Billy Ogletree, who I think is in the audience right now, and I'm sure he's happy it's not in person, otherwise he would be cringing. But Billy Ogletree exemplifies the mission through his humility, adaptability, and deeply rooted commitment to the region he serves. Working with Billy, there is something about him that is in his quiet dignity that reminds me of the stoic oak trees that exist across our region. You see, Ogletree is derived from the ancient English surname meaning one who resides by the oak-covered hillside. Oak trees spend the first 20 years of their existence growing deep into the soil, establishing firm roots that prepare them to reach great heights. Similarly, Dr. Ogletree's 30-year career serving the people of Western North Carolina and beyond has been thoughtful, intentional, and sustained by the cultivation of such deep roots. In her nomination letter, our chancellor, Kelly Brown, noted just like the mighty oak produces acorns that will one day send their own roots into the soil, the students who have come through Dr. Ogletree's classrooms and labs represent a new crop of communication science and disorders professionals providing much needed service to the people of North Carolina and beyond. This ripple effect continues across his students, his patients, and his students' patients. Like his namesake, he is contributing to an oak-covered hillside everywhere they are needed. And in this, I'm reminded that true leadership is planting seeds that will grow into trees that you, yourself, might not ever stand in the shade of. So thank you, Dr. Ogletree, and I still owe you a beer. A little joke between the two of us. Next, I'd like to address and recognize Associate Professor Beth Wall-Bassett. She is our nutrition and dietetics professor, and she's also our program director for that program. North Carolina Compact, 30 institutions strong, recognized Associate Professor Beth Wall-Bassett as the leader and faculty of the year. At her core, she is the type of individual who does not like to stand still on her approaches to both leadership and teaching. As a leader, she sets the tone and example for many, and she charts new courses and follows through on her word. As a teacher, she is the first to apply new approaches, even when it would be easier to do things as she always has. In this, she is a reinventor of teaching approaches. She is an accomplished researcher, teacher, and mentor, and in my 15 years of working professionally with faculty, she is undoubtedly in the top 1% when it comes to her engagement. She consistently seeks to lead, teach, and exemplify the idea that sustained, respectful, dedicated work, whether physical or mental, is the backbone, heart, and soul of a thriving community, and subsequently attributes of community engagement. Dr. Wall-Bassett exemplifies these attributes in everything she does. Next, I'd like to recognize another North Carolina Campus Compact award, which was our Haywood Pathways Partnership. Again, this was recognized from 30 institutions that put forth their best and brightest partnerships. And we were recognized this year with our partnership through Haywood Pathways. This partnership has included the gamut of community engaged activities and serves as a microcosm of what healthy partnerships between universities and communities addressing opportunities can look like. From the engagement and expertise of 2 WCU marketing professors at the inception in 2014 of this idea, over 5 years ago, to successfully securing a national funding source and the expertise of Ty Pennington, all the way through to the sustained engagement over the last 5 years, which has involved hundreds of service learning students, interns, and clinical practica, students across numbers of classes. The partnership has continued to strengthen and evolve. We serve on each other's boards, and we help make informed decisions to make a brighter future for both organizations. So I wanted to shout out those 2 faculty members and that 1 community partner. And finally, I'd like to recognize Rebecca Hart. She is currently the student body president-elect and has come to this work with a heart and the ability of follow through that I have rarely seen in students her age. It is really easy for passionate students to say yes to a lot of things, but it's also quite difficult to follow through on those yeses because it's easier to say yes than it is to do yes. We've all learned this the hard way. Somehow, Rebecca has taken all of those yeses and turned them into follow through, whether it's with her work through our Student Democracy Coalition or through her work as a census fellow this last year to help increase the number of folks being recognized through the census process. She has stepped up in myriad ways. She has been recognized as our Community Impact Award winner through North Carolina Campus Compact and has also, through the National Compact, been recognized as our Newman Civic Fellow. She has done substantial work in our community, and the fact that her peers have elected her student body president only underscores and proves that further. So without further ado, we're going to hand the reins over to her for a moment to offer a few comments from a student's perspective. Thank you, Rebecca Hart.
Thank you for that. Again, my name is Rebecca Hart, and I am the student body president-elect for the next academic year. However, today I'm speaking to you all as not the next student body president, but simply as a student. So today we are here to honor students, faculty and staff, organizations, and department who exemplify what it means to be a servant leader. A servant leader focuses on the growth and well-being of people and the communities to which they belong in. If you ask many of the award recipients today, some of them might not see themselves as leaders, but I would argue that their requested presence today says otherwise. Many leaders don't lead from the front. They are the ones in the back helping those who are falling behind. They are the ones behind the curtain during a play, pulling all the strings, checking the props, and ensuring that the show goes on. Many of whom put in so much work with little thought to their well-deserved recognition. For students, and as a student myself, this could never be true. From the outside, many of our peers look at us and assume that we are so put together, and they often joke that we are doing too much. To some of our professors, they see the slight dip of our grades and assume that we are lazy or we've just hit that point in the semester. And to ourselves, we see and feel the internal struggle as we push hard every day to not just carry our own academic weight, but also the pressures from others to take on more responsibilities and do better, and our own personal pressure to help as many people as possible. For many of us, the word no does not utter from our lips. Our work is tireless and never ending, but we do it because we are the ones who have found our purpose early in life, our purpose to serve others before ourselves. To my peers, our work does not go unnoticed. I'm not talking about the recognition that we are receiving here today on Zoom. I'm talking about the small differences that we create in the lives that our work touches. It's the students on campus who were able to vote because SDC spent hours awkwardly walking up to people to ask if they were registered and if they knew how to vote. It's also the fact that WCU was one of the few North Carolina schools to stay all fall semester because Catamount Care student ambassadors also had to awkwardly walk up to students and thank them for wearing their mask and caring about the community. CCESL really loves to push us on our public speaking skills. But anyways, besides challenging us to walk up to total strangers, CCESL provides students with the tools to put their passion into serving others into action. They provide opportunities for students who may only have a day or two out of the month, but also for students with more availability for longer projects through partnerships with local businesses and nonprofits. Additionally, CCESL works with academic departments and professors to introduce new students to the joy of civic and community engagement. CCESL and their staff are a force to be reckoned with. They do so much for our students, the campus, and the community as a whole, that words will never be enough to explain it all. Speaking for myself, CCESL has always been somewhere I can call home, not only for the tools and resources they provide, but also for their guidance and constant support. And of course, I can't end this speech without shouting out Lane Perry. I've always joked that Dr. Perry and I in a room together is dangerous because we could spend hours bouncing off ideas for programs, campaigns, and more. Dr. Perry, I want to thank you personally for always having words of encouragement, sending me every opportunity that you think I would benefit from, creating opportunities for me, the reminder text, and the energized vibe that you bring to every meeting and event. I thank you because I know you not only do this for me, but for every student and person you come in contact with. Thank you, CCESL, for all you do day in and day out, and your dedication for others is a goal that we should all strive for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. So next, we would like to recognize our Lilly Award recipients. So the Lilly Award was created several years ago with the intention of recognizing students for the community service that they are already doing in their everyday lives. Excuse me. Revamped in 2019, the Lilly Award focuses on direct service, awareness and advocacy, donation and fundraising, and as well as service learning designated courses. This year's recipients of the Lilly Award are Maddox Bulris, James Carroll, Michaela Cox, Sierra Green, Caitlin Hallman, Abigail Hawley, Megan Mosier, Victoria Avruz, Jordan Rains, Paige Robinson, Christina Swanger, and Ashley Vanderhyde. Congratulations to you all. You have really put in the work, and it's so great to see the Lilly Award come to fruition in your lives. We are also excited to recognize our Student Democracy Coalition student leadership team. They always stand above the crowd for their dedication to nonpartisan civic engagement work, but this year, in light of a worldwide pandemic and a national election, they took their work to a whole new level. They assisted with registering close to 1,000 voters, brought candidates to campus, and tirelessly worked on their mission of engaging students. The leadership team this year was comprised of Thomas Bebout, Kylie Cox, Liam Curry, Rebecca Hart, Holly Miller, Robin Smith, Gretchen Thomas, and Evelyn Vogley. And now I'll turn it over to Brian.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming and celebrating community engagement this nice afternoon. I have the honor of getting to introduce our Medford Scholars for this year. Each year, the center awards the Jacob Spencer Medford Scholarships in honor of Jake Medford, who was killed in an automobile accident in 2002. These Medford Scholars embody the service learning lifestyle, and each student has participated in and led many service projects that address community needs and enrich learning in their area. This year, we had over 200 applicants, with projects ranging from food drives for local shelters to helping rebuild communities hit by natural disasters. We are proud to announce that this year's Medford Scholars are Kevin Bush, Cassidy Callie, Dabney Dopner, Emily Kuykendall, William Morris, Lucas Pitts, Emily Shipman, and Mackenzie Stevens. I'm also honored to speak on our CCSAs, a program that I had a lot of involvement in this year. This fall, 21 undergraduate students, later joined by 3 more, were chosen to help slow the spread of COVID-19 on WCU's campus. Catamounts Care student ambassadors stepped up and stepped in to become peer leaders and exemplify the Catamounts Care community standards. They used positive reinforcement and peer-to-peer awareness campaigns to reward their fellow students and remind the community to do their part to slow the spread of COVID-19 on campus. Through their efforts and the efforts of every Catamount, we were able to safely stay on campus for the entire fall semester and have continued to slow the spread this spring as well. I would like to recognize all of our Catamounts Care student ambassadors now. Ainsley McNeil, Alejandro Mora, Elise Yo, Alyssa Yanez, Katie Heron, Chad Dickerson, Crystalline Long, Diana Moonley, Deborah Magalis, Haley Rosedal, Hannah Fulkerson, Harmony Kunst, Jayla Bogard, Jordan Millington, Justin Fox, Casey Clark, Danny Tizon, Michaela Deal, Matthew Dube, Max Foltz, Prince Jackson, Rachel Shaw, Sadie Deal, Tabitha Rowell, Tiana Hooper, and Victoria Larmore. Additionally, the students voted on 5 of their fellow ambassadors to receive Academic Excellence Awards in various categories. The winner of those awards are Alyssa Yanez will receive the Creative Genius Award, Chad Dickerson will receive the Helping Hands Award, Jayla Bogard will receive the Leadership Award, Ainsley McNeil will receive the Spirit Award, and Tabitha Rowell will receive the Team Player Award. I would also like to give a special shout out for me for our intern this spring semester, Tom Newkirk. Tom was instrumental in the success of the CCSA program this spring and did a fantastic job putting together the Catamounts Care Day of Service, honoring those who passed this year due to COVID-19. Thank you again, Tom, for all of your excellent hard work. Thank all of the CCSAs for all the hard work you have done and continue to do this semester. Now I'm going to hand the reins over to Jennifer to speak about our regional vaccine clinic. It wouldn't be an online webinar without some issues around the mute button, I'm pretty sure.
All right, Coleman's there. That's great to see him. You probably know as much about us on the regional vaccination clinic with the sustained work you've done. While Jennifer continues to, there she is.
There we go. Sorry, y'all. I am the man behind the curtain. I'm the PowerPoint. So my cursor is doing strange things. It is just, yeah. So the PowerPoint may go haywire in just a second now that I've managed to unmute myself. But thanks to everyone for being here this afternoon. As Brian just said, I'm going to talk a little bit about our COVID vaccination clinic. So I think that we all agree that the past year has been tumultuous. We've all heard a lot about unprecedented times and things like that. But one of the real bright spots in all of this chaos has been seeing how many people have stepped up to help get us through this pandemic. You heard Lane talk a little about our COVID response efforts over the past year, and I want to share a few highlights of the volunteer effort, specifically at our campus vaccination clinic. It's been really overwhelming and frankly amazing to see how eager people have been to help. We've had nearly 600 students, faculty, staff, and community members that have completed our volunteer interest form. And these volunteers have helped with everything from preparing syringes and giving injections to greeting and screening patients as they come in, serving as scribes, keeping the injection stations stocked with supplies, and keeping everything sanitized. So through the hard work of all of our volunteers and the clinic staff, we have administered 13,015 injections at this point. So a huge effort by all involved with a huge impact. Some of our volunteers have even gone beyond our campus clinic and have helped out at other clinics around the region, including clinics coordinated by the Haywood County Emergency Services, the Highlands Cashers Plateau COVID-19 Vaccine Initiative, the International Friendship Center, the CNOS, and the Tried Center or Tried Stone Missionary Baptist Church. So to turn back to our clinic, we opened on February 25th, and since that date, 235 people have served at least one shift as a non-clinical volunteer for a total of 4,210 hours. On top of that, we've had over 100 clinical volunteers, the people actually giving the shots, who have served approximately 1,700 hours over 350 shifts. So this whole effort has been huge. These numbers are really mind-blowing. Some of these people have served a single shift, but many of these volunteers have actually given hours and even weeks, basically, of their time. And we wanted to share some of those particularly dedicated clinic volunteers with you. All right, and let's see if I can get my cursor to cooperate again. There we go. So the following 13 people have served as non-clinical volunteers between 40 and 80 hours in the clinic. So we have Noel Booth, Maddox Bulrus, Christopher Evans Newman, Abby Fairbrother, Catherine Fowler, Taylor Hossick, Paul Heckert, Lorian Helm, Allison Morales, Shania Robbs, Elizabeth Schlicken, Sydney Stone, and Ben Folks. So these folks, hugely dedicated, but we actually have a second slide of 10 people who have served more than 80 hours. I believe currently our top volunteer has served somewhere around 120 hours. So folks that have served as non-clinical volunteers 80 hours or more include Betty Allen, Valeria Barrera Vizcarra, Julia Chappell, Virginia Cross, Polly Edwards, Cynthia Henderson, Mallory Martin, Lucretia Simmons, Penny Vermillen, and Kelly Yates. So a huge shout out to all of these people. And I just want to note that we have additional clinical folks that have also served huge amounts of time. So lots of hard work amongst all those people. So you'll be hearing a little bit more about a few of these standout volunteers later, but we wanted to kind of kick off our official award ceremony by recognizing our clinic director, Courtney Lingerfelt. And I think all of us would agree that Courtney has been just an absolute joy to work with. Planning the clinic has been, as you would imagine, a huge endeavor with lots of details to nail down, no existing blueprint, constantly changing logistics. And even now, there are a lot of moving parts, a lot of changing details to manage. So honestly, this could have all been a disaster, but it's all come together as an organized, efficient, and really well-run effort. I've heard so many compliments about the clinic from patients, volunteers, and people throughout the community. And I think a lot of that is down to Courtney's amazing leadership. So for that, we would like to recognize her with our inaugural Moving Mountains Award. So thank you, Courtney, for consistently going above and beyond the call of duty. We appreciate you. And now I'm going to turn things over to Amanda to kick things off with our student awards.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. So I'm excited to present our first student award. Our Individual Community Service Award recognizes some of the students who have done remarkable things for the community over the last year. And again, we've had a record number of contenders, so there's a lot of people who are nominated, and we really appreciate that. The first one is Camden Bryson. Camden Bryson volunteers in the WCU vaccination clinic about weekly. She easily stands out with her infectious, positive attitude, flexibility to fulfill any role needed, her technical skills, and her initiative. Next, we have Maddox Bulris, has been a great leader at the vaccination clinic on top of all of the other service work that she already does. As you know, we just recognized Maddox for completing the Lilly Award. She represents WCU through all that she does. James Carroll has had 4 years of dedicated service to WCU, CCESL, and the community. He's organized hundreds of volunteers to help with roadside cleanups and other projects. As we often say, if every student were like James, a center like ours job would be done. Virginia Cross has kept coming to the vaccination clinic since it opened. She is brilliant in her efforts to connect with community members through the scribe position. Holly Miller was instrumental in our voter registration efforts over the fall semester. She is truly an exemplar of dedicated service and committed work to our democracy, and should absolutely be recognized, as what one of her nominators said. Levi Phillips, nominator, said that Levi is a unique fella and described a time when Levi helped a community member at the clinic, and said that watching someone go out of their way to help a community member is inspiring. Tabitha Roll is in a central role within the Emergency Management Student Association with planning service events for the club. And she has often been the liaison between the American Red Cross for setting up critical blood drives that support the WNC community. And there's actually one happening today. Lucretia Simmons, nominator, said that she is a beam of positivity and willing to jump in and help out wherever she can. She continues to volunteer, and the community loves to engage with her. Elias Dahl serves in so many different ways, including leading her peers as president of Alpha Phi Omega, the co-ed service fraternity focused on leadership, friendship, and service. She goes above and beyond for community, and she can always be counted on. Dakota Staley has been in a central role within the Emergency Management Student Association with planning community service events for the club. And he's been in charge with setting up logistics for the American Red Cross blood drives and planning community outreach programs. Sarah Tissinger has taken on the role of scheduling volunteers for the American Red Cross blood drives, working the blood drives herself, and bringing community service opportunities to the Student Association. Danny Tizon has been in a central role within the Emergency Management Student Association, as well as working on projects such as Project Fire, roadside cleanup days, leading WCU EMS, and serving his fellow students on the WCU SGA. He really has been a fantastic leader for all during his last semester of his undergraduate studies, is what one of his nominators said. And then finally, we have Kelly Yates, and her nominator said, "Where do I begin with Kelly? She is awesome. She engages with all patients, staff, and volunteers at the vaccination clinic, but she represents WCU in all that she does. She is flexible and willing to hop in on any position that is needed." You all, this has been a phenomenal pool of nominations, and it has been really hard for us to choose. And so with that, our winners, we actually chose 4 from the stellar group. Our first winner is Maddox Bulris. She always goes above and beyond with everything she does, from volunteering with the clinic, serving with the honors board of directors, to completing the Lilly Award. She has absolutely left her mark, her paw print, so to speak, on WCU. James Carroll makes service a way of life and is notable for earning the Lilly Community Engagement Award faster than any student has done in the past. Virginia Cross has been an incredibly reliable volunteer at the vaccination clinic, and her passion and dedication makes the complicated seem easy. And then finally, Kelly Gates is almost always the first person to sign up every time for volunteering at the vaccination clinic, and her enthusiasm shines through with every shift. So congratulations to our winners. We are so glad to have you among us, hopefully this afternoon. Our next award is the Community Service Award for Student Organizations, and it recognizes groups for outstanding participation in community engagement efforts. The first nominee is Alpha Phi Omega. APO has grown from a tiny petitioning group to a massive, well-run organization dedicated to leadership, friendship, and service. They've done lots of service through the center this year, and we know that we can always count on them. Second, we have Catamounts Care Student Ambassador, or the CCSAs as we have come to call them, helped to slow the spread of COVID-19 on WCU's campus. Positivity rate from July to December was less than 3%, compared to the state at more than 8%. They committed to more than 5,000 hours of witnessing wellness walks, classroom presentations, educational programming, and social media campaigns. They are true heroes amongst the long list of heroes all over the past year for COVID-19. Next up, we have our Graduate Student Association. When they realized that they were going to have unspent money in their graduate student travel fund, the GSA reached out to us to help find ways to use those funds to support grad students during COVID. They used part of that money to restock the Biltmore Park Food Pantry, which serves all of our students over in Biltmore Park in Asheville. The Honors Board Community Service Committee, their work to connect and encourage our new students in service under difficult pandemic circumstances was outstanding. They did a phenomenal job pivoting traditional projects to new formats, creating pandemic-allowed options. In addition, they have relentlessly promoted other organizations' service activities to the honors community. The next one is Spanish, and it translates to be Women with a Purpose. MCP is truly a gem among WCU student organizations and the unsung backbone of diversity, equity, and inclusion among undergraduates. At their monthly events and meetings, they inclusively promote Latinx cultures, and as their nominator said, they're fully deserving of this recognition. Our next one is SDC. SCC, Student Democracy Coalition, has worked tirelessly under difficult circumstances this past fall and spring, organizing election activities. They brought candidates to campus, engaged thousands of students in the on-campus polling place, and worked tirelessly to accomplish all of this amidst the global pandemic. They organized educational programs, facilitated voter registration, and led by example every day. And then finally, we have our Water Conservation Fellows. Mitch and Harmony organized 4 tree plantings over 2020 and 2021 and planted well over 150 native plants, trees, bushes, and shrubs to help mitigate stream erosion in 4 communities around Western North Carolina. And so out of those wonderful, incredibly talented nominees, our winners are, the first one is Alpha Phi Omega, a full and thriving student organization dedicated to leadership, friendship, and service. They always go above and beyond the bare minimum to set the bar high. We can always count on APO to come through, and always with the smiling face. And then we have Women with a Purpose. At their monthly events and meetings, they inclusively promote Latinx cultures, promoted student wellness during the pandemic through game night and other activities, provided translation and interpretation services throughout the pandemic via Vecinos, provided free interpretation and translation through organizations like 30th Alliance, and provided free childcare at those events. And over the holidays, they did a giving tree and participated in Operation Christmas Child. Many members volunteered with LEAP, and now they're working with several community partners to organize a clothing drive. Basically, they never stop. And so congratulations to our winners in that category. And then next up, we have our Outstanding Achievement Award for Student. So it's recognizing students, individuals, and course-based groups for academic excellence in the service learning component of their course based on evidence of the impact of their academic learning, community awareness, civic commitment, and personal development. Nominees for this category are Jocelyn Stinson, who volunteered as one of the first cohort for the Design for Health project. She has excelled as a leader and has committed to another year for Design for Health. Raina Teague organized as a first-year student an important project focused on raising funds through a mass tie-dye event and creation with local partner NAMI, focused on mental health. EDHE 650 team, Jessica Gonzalez, Jacqueline Henry, Kristen Nichols, and Holly Stillman. Through a class project in the Higher Education Student Affairs program, they examined the effectiveness of the Catamounts Care Student Ambassadors program on campus. And then finally, we have HSCC 475 group of Maria Chapman, Will Jones, Eric Manley, and Wyatt Prophet. This group of students organized a pop-up clinic that supported Haywood's most vulnerable communities, such as students or people experiencing homelessness, etc. They organized or administered over 50 vaccines, and it was a powerful display of applied learning and propping up the integrated health, propping up the clinic. And the winners for this category is the team from HSCC 475, Maria Chapman, Will Jones, Eric Manley, and Wyatt Prophet for their work organizing a pop-up clinic in Haywood County. And next, I'll turn it over to Jennifer for our next award. I apologize for the pause, as always. Jennifer is unmuting yourself as the man behind the curtain.
We can all relate to what Jennifer is going through as she's probably moving her cursor and it's like not wanting to go where you need it to go. And she's almost got it, I think. There we go.
Thank you, Brian. I swear I know how to use Zoom. I bring my cursor to the point where you would click on unmute and it goes away and it advances the slide. So I think Brian has to do it for me. Thank you very much, Brian. But anyway, so our final student recognition is the Shining Star Award. This award honors student leaders for outstanding contributions and demonstrated commitment to promoting the community engagement program. This is really one of my favorite categories, honestly. These students are the best of the best service-wise, so it's really inspiring to reflect on how much they've done and what a great positive impact they make on our campus and our community. So let's show you our nominees. So a couple of familiar names here. We have Maddox Bulrus, who serves on the Honors College Board, is extremely involved in Alpha Phi Omega, and has volunteered regularly at our COVID vaccination clinic. James Carroll, who has probably participated in more service than any other student we've ever worked with. Catherine Darcillo, who has really thrown herself into fighting food insecurity with WCU Beats Hunger and the Student Association of Nutrition and Dietetics. Rebecca Hart and Holly Miller, who both stood out as leaders in our Student Democracy Coalition. Jocelyn Stinson, who serves as a project care mentor, the vice president of the WCU Chancellor's Ambassadors, a Brinson Honors College ambassador, and an interior design student leader in the Design for Health initiative. And finally, Danny Tizon, who has done a really huge amount of service, primarily focused around public health and disaster relief. And this year's Shining Star is Danny Tizon. Danny serves as a Catamounts Care Student Ambassador. He's the Director of Community Engagement for the Student Government Association, and he's the Assistant Chief of Training in our campus EMS. He's active in our Rotaract Club, and he's worked with the Red Cross to set up blood drives on campus. And he's helped organize disaster relief trips to New Bern and to Vidor, Texas. Service really infuses Danny's life. He's always looking for a way that he can help his fellow humans. His involvement is really impressive, but for me, where Danny really stands out is as a leader and as a mentor to other students. He consistently encourages others to get involved, and through his influence on his fellow students, Danny will continue to make a big difference to Western long after he graduates. So thank you very much to Danny and to all of our nominees. Next, I want to change gears just a bit and focus on some of the people and groups that make WCU's engagement possible. We partner with over 130 nonprofits throughout Western North Carolina, and of course, we appreciate all of them. They're all wonderful in a variety of ways, but each way, there are a handful that just really stand out. Our partnership award recognizes this handful. So it recognizes community agencies and representatives for effective collaboration with WCU faculty, staff, and students to achieve community service and service learning goals. Our nominees for partnership this year are Eric Romanishin, the Executive Director of Haywood Waterways Association, who has served as a mentor and co-educator for 2 students in their environmental work. Laura Smith of Westbridge Vocational, who is passionate about advocating for vocational training and job opportunities for people facing barriers to employment. Ingalls and Jackson County Public Schools, who have collaborated with our WCU Beats Hunger student group to host several food drives, including one this weekend, and to ensure that children in the community have enough to eat. MAHAC, which has worked with us throughout the pandemic to provide funding, education, and support for our efforts to fight COVID. Southwestern Community College's nursing program, which has been helping us administer vaccinations at the campus clinic for nearly the whole time it's been open. And finally, Wine to Water, which worked with the Honors College under pandemic conditions to provide a hands-on service opportunity for over 400 students while teaching them about global water issues. And this year we have 2 winners, MAHAC and the Southwestern Community College Nursing Program. MAHAC, the Mountain Area Health Education Center, has been a great partner for us over the past year. They've provided funding to support our Catamounts Care student ambassadors, as well as hundreds of hours of logistical support to our CCSAs, and they were pivotal in developing the training that our students have used to keep our campus safe. The nursing program from SCC has also had a huge role in our COVID efforts. They've been consistent in their support of our vaccination clinic on campus. Each week, they provide 4 to 5 nursing students who spend the day giving injections. In fact, they single-handedly run about half of the clinic each Monday. Their reliability, professionalism, and competence has been a huge boon to our vaccination efforts. So we'd like to thank them and MAHAC and all of our partners. And now I'm going to turn things back over to Brian, who's going to highlight some of our star faculty and staff.
Thank you, Jennifer. Each year we have the honor to work with dozens of highly engaged faculty and staff in a variety of roles across campus. Without these individuals, we would not be able to do the work that we do in the center. They lift up the community around them, and it is such an honor to see the work they do. For outstanding achievement for faculty and staff, this award is given to those faculty and staff members who have participated who have an outstanding record of participation in volunteer and community service project. Our nominees are Brian Boyer. His ability to inspire and his depth of caring for his students and the community is well known across campus. Despite the limiting conditions this year necessitated by the pandemic, he built a caring connection between his students and the community table that allowed them to feel part of something larger than themselves and to give back to the community. Dr. Cindy Caravellis. She has worked relentlessly over the last year to help our community deal with issues of crime and violence. She volunteers with the Center for Domestic Peace in Silva, where she also serves as fundraising chair. Jason Oddie. Jason has spent years dedicating himself to multiple causes, and none more so than that of animal welfare. Jason has served on the board for Sarge's Animal Rescue in Waynesville for the past 7 years and continues to volunteer with them on a regular basis. Dr. Yan Junyan, she has gone above and beyond in her volunteer roles. She sets the example for community engagement and is a role model for other faculty and staff to follow. myself included. Among her many roles, she has been volunteering multiple times a week at the WCU Regional Vaccine Clinic. She also helped lead the effort last spring, where we raised over $25,000 for surgical masks in partnership with the American Chinese Friendship Society. And finally, the WCU Staff Senate. The WCU Staff Senate has always been a leader in service on our campus. This year was no different. Even in the midst of a pandemic, this group committed to their campus and local communities by volunteering their time with organizations like the Red Cross, the Blood Connection, Franklin High School, Jackson County Fire Department, and many more. I had to remove a lot because I just kept reading. Collectively, the WCU Staff Senate has contributed to over 215 hours of community service since July. And our winner is Dr. Cindy Caravelis. Once again, Dr. Caravelis volunteers her time with the Center for Domestic Peace in Silva. Additionally, she supports victims as a volunteer court escort. She has created a pilot program for therapy dogs in domestic violence cases, and she works tirelessly securing grants for this impactful program. Dr. Caravelis is also chair of the Police Community Advisory Committee, acting as a liaison between WCU, Silva, and nonprofit partners. Congratulations again, Dr. Caravelis. The next award I have the honor of giving out is the Meritorious Service Award. This award is given to members of the WCU faculty and staff for meaningful support of the mission, goals, and programs of the Center for Community Engagement and Service Learning. First nominee is Dr. Patrick Garner. I had the pleasure of working with Patrick this past summer, and he was the heart and soul of the Rapid Center's production of over 4,000 face shields for frontline health workers from March to June, when PPE resources were impossible to come by. He is an excellent partner and organized dozens of students and resources to ensure a smooth, consistent delivery of the face shields to workers across the region. Coleman Leopard. Everyone knows Coleman. In his role as a non-clinical volunteer coordinator, though, at the WCU Regional COVID Vaccination Clinic, Coleman has gone above and beyond the call of duty. Between setting schedules, daily communication with volunteers, orienting our new helpers, and being on site constantly to make sure everything is running smoothly, Coleman has spent countless hours at the clinic, including many nights and weekends. Despite this hectic schedule, he's always calm and cheerful, and he's never too busy to answer questions or to help with any task that needs an extra hand. Together with the coordinator, Courtney Lingerfeld, Coleman is a major reason that the campus clinic has been such a success. Our next nominee is Dr. April Talent. Dr. Talent is a leader in building, maintaining, and expanding our service learning courses, and is always working to improve the student experience in these courses. As coordinator for the Honors Path Academy, she works to assure that those new honors students also have meaningful experiences in community service that connects to the needs of the region. Additionally, she serves on the board of the Community Table and on the Highlands Cashiers Health Foundation Board of Directors. Finally, we have WCU Athletics. Over the past year and a half, the WCU Athletics Department has gone above and beyond to connect with the center and to ensure that their student athletes have opportunities to engage with the community and to support initiatives like the WCU Beats Hunger program and the food drives at Ingalls. As an example, this fall's voter registration program for athletes registered over 50 students, and through their partnership with Ingalls, we have collected over 5,000 pounds of food for community partners. This year, we have two winners. Coleman Leopard and the WCU Athletics Department. Thank you all for such meaningful work over the past year, and we look forward to continuing this important work and supporting these initiatives moving forward. I'm now going to turn things over to Lane for the Outstanding Achievement in Teaching Award.
Thank you. I was busy being very busy in the chat. I get very excited by chats. I think it might be my youth growing up with AOL Instant Messenger. I'm like reliving my glory days. So shouting out everyone's awesome successes. So I want to recognize faculty and staff members who have demonstrated excellence in using service learning as a teaching and learning strategy. And this is where the sort of curricular rubber hits the road. These are lots of time instructional staff and faculty members who go above and beyond the call of duty to integrate service into the learning of their classrooms. They see the learning being bolder, more profound, and tangible when they go the extra mile to integrate meaningful service and public impact into the work they do. So our nominees this year include Dr. Adam Groh, Dr. Betty Farmer, Dr. Christina Reitz, Dr. Heather Thompson, Professor Elizabeth Sexton, Professor Shelby Hicks, and Dr. Sarah Duncan. So, I'll give you some context because the depth and breadth of this work needs to be captured here in a narrative. And so from introductory and seminar courses to upper division capstone courses in master's programs, from in-person one-on-one thesis advisement and engagement to facilitating online service learning environments, these nominees have made deep, positive, and intentional impacts that span students, communities, organizations, and WCU as an institution. These professors represent some of the best at their craft, which is both an art and a science, by leveraging one of the institution's greatest resources, our students. Through the development of crisis communication plans in collaboration with local nonprofit community organizations, to organizing COVID-19 vaccination clinics across the region, and receiving grant funding to help inform healthy living spaces, these professors teach, contribute, and serve. And when you stop and think about community engagements and its effectiveness, the impetus or the ripple must start somewhere with someone. And it is faculty members like these 7 nominees who consistently make the choice to take the plunge into the sometimes uncharted waters and most of the time unpredicted or unpredictable of community engagement. And this is what makes our institution's commitment to engage sustainable community engagement real and impactful. So this year's top recipients are 2 in number. And our first is Dr. Adam Groh, and our second is Dr. Sarah Duncan. Dr. Adam Groh works tirelessly to intentionally and thoughtfully find ways to integrate service into his students' experiences. He consistently seeks out partners and opportunities to add value to his students' learning, his teaching, and his community. He has organized numerous food drives, fundraisers, and experiences that contribute to community. Dr. Groh also created the Everybody Hits Consortium, a commissioning project to create 6 new percussion ensemble works by a diverse group of living composers that are accessible for a wide range of ages and playing ability levels by raising nearly $2,000 to commission these musical pieces that focus on diversity, accessibility, and affordable music. This is truly a teaching gift to the community. He's extremely reliable, creative, and consistent in his teaching. Many of his students go on to work and perform with high schools and organizations around the nation and continue to exemplify the model they witnessed in him by continuing to contribute and pay forward what they gained in their classroom and the communities that they live in the future. It is a ripple effect that goes far beyond the 3 credit hour class that you might take with Dr. Groh. Next, Dr. Sarah Duncan. From her first days on campus, I had the honor of meeting. This is community engagement story at its finest. Dr. Sarah Duncan, it was way after hours, maybe 7 or 8 p.m. on a Friday night, and she was at Frog Level Brewing, and she had her computer open working. And my 7-year-old daughter at the time saw on the back of the computer the Western Carolina University logo emblazoned on it. And this logo means something because it's a symbol for a lot of people. We understand this. And my daughter said, "Dad, look, a Catamount WCU logo." And I was like, "What the heck?" So of course I walked over and I'm like, "Do you work at Western?" Sarah had just started a couple months earlier. Long story short, from her first days on campus in 2019, Dr. Duncan has strived to make connections and partnerships there at Frog Level Brewing. She's one of those professors who sincerely understands the academic value and the community impact value in engaging her students with the community. As a professor in health sciences with a focus on environmental justice, Sarah, along with her students, have generated rural air health quality reports for communities across WNC, engaged in citizen science projects, and has served as a founding member of the Design for Health project, which is a very important project that seeks to provide a creative space for interior design, environmental health, nursing, and social work students to learn together about social determinants by integrating the skills they are learning in their programs to directly impact the lives of the clients in our community. Sarah has used this opportunity to teach students, faculty from other disciplines, and community partners about her expertise and the impacts of indoor air quality in the built environments. Dr. Duncan is genuinely empathic and caring to everyone she works with and has been a major asset to the Design for Health program and also to Western Carolina University. We want to celebrate her as one of our top teaching faculty this evening. So thank you, Sarah. Moving forward now to one of our top awards when it comes to university engagement at the department or program level. This award recognizes and is presented to an academic department or program for exemplary integration of service learning and community engagement into the curriculum. Our nominees this year are the Brinson Honors College, led by Dean Gilles Granger. The Brinson Honors College is a beacon of community engagement on our campus for some of our most engaged students, our honor students. As a past recipient of the Leading Light Award, they have established formalized pipelines to set the tone for their incoming honor students. That service and engagement are essential tenets of what it means to be a WCU honor student. They leverage partnerships across campus to sustain community engagement in the classroom through upper-level honors contracts, undergraduate research, and through their co-curricular learning spaces like with the Honors Board and our Conference on Undergraduate Regional Engagement. Our next nominee is the Human Services Department, led by Dr. Leeson Roberts. Engages their students with community organizations at every turn in their curriculum. They have found ways to scale, sustain, and adapt service learning pedagogy to align with the needs and opportunities of their students, their course curricula, their fields and disciplines, and their community partners. Their faculty is engaged and considered to be as leading lights in their own right. And together, perhaps these lights make a constellation. Social work department has a myriad of pathways for service and learning to be combined within their program. Their engagement with the community to come to mutually beneficial solutions is an example for the rest of the campus. Additionally, their caring and considerate approach is an example that we can all learn from. Social work department has had a long relationship with the community, engaged work that has resulted in a range of positive impacts for our region, specifically investing in one of our most important integrated curricular focus areas, social services and resources across our region. So without further ado, the winner of the 2020-2021 Leading Light Award is the Human Services Department out of the College of Education and Allied Professions. Made up of 34 faculty members and thousands of students, the Human Services Department is well known by many on WCU's campus, but is known even better by our community partners across the region. This department has over 8 programs, each focused on maximizing human creativity, potential, and impact. On their homepage, listed even before their mission, is their statement and commitment to real-world experience. They define this as the expectation that their students and faculty to engage in many opportunities for real-world experience is the #1 priority. Students get practical service learning experiences through internship, field experiences, consulting, and teaching. In fact, across their 8 programs, there are 14 service courses, which represents one of the greatest concentrations of SLCs across all departments on campus. 4 of their faculty have completed the Faculty Institute on Community Engagement. 5 of their faculty members have won individual CCESL awards in the recent past. And not a day goes by, for better or for worse, for the better, not a day goes by that I do not have a correspondence via email or phone with at least one of their engaged faculty members. Some might say they help keep the CCESL in business. I do not hesitate when I make the following statement, and that's through their institutional support and mentorship of other service learning faculty, the depth and breadth of their engagement, and their own department service learning commitment, they have reset the bar for what it means to be a leading light. So in conclusion, service learning is not something the Human Services Department does as much as who it is and who they are at their core, what they study, how they learn and teach, and why they serve best. This ethic permeates the curriculum and, simply stated, becomes core to their graduates. So I want to give a quick shout out to the Human Services Department and say thank you. Give one of these quiet claps across the region to all of our award winners this evening. And it is my job to wrap it up and bring us home. And I think we have one last slide to help keep me focused. So I want to end with a thank you and an appreciation of all of the award nominees, all of the award recipients, but also those who may have not been recognized this evening for the service and engagement that has permeated our campus and our community. New Zealand's Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, speaks of the concept for their country of being a village of 5 million. And she speaks to this as an aspect of their community and their culture that interconnects everyone. And for me, when I think about the work of the Center for Community Engagement and Service Learning and the 4 full-time staff we have doing collective work, coming together every single day to try to do this work thoughtfully and impactfully and considerately, I think that the 4 of us can only do so much. And I like to think of the Center for Community Engagement like Prime Minister Ardern thinks of their country as a village. I think of our center as not a staff of 4 or 100 engaged faculty members beyond the 4, or 130 community partners who help us do the work beyond the 4, or the 50 paid student workers, a part of our team who help us do more than the 4 alone could do. I honestly look at the center and the village that we're a part of as a community that is something we each get to be a part of, that's something that's bigger than us, but better because of us. And I see us all organizing our efforts around the mission of our region, the culture of our region, the focus of our region, the mission of our campus, and the focus of our institution and our strategic directions and plans being operationalized every single day and scaled across myriad populations because of the attitude that each one of us bring to this work. And I'm inspired every day by getting to work with people like the ones we've had a chance to celebrate, and with the people who you see over here on the right side who have the honor and privilege of working with every single day. Each one bringing their own skill set and resource to the team and making it a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. So I thank you all for being a part of our village of 15,000 plus here in Western North Carolina, around Western Carolina University and in Jackson County. I just want to say thank you. And I want to point 2 things out here as I do 2 logistical things. And I have to point out where the restrooms are, which is always an easier thing in these moments. I'm going to put a link in the chat down here that simply says our work is not done. And there's a grant opportunity through the Engagement Scholarship Consortium. If anyone is interested, please reach out to me. I wanted to put that there. And a shout out to our online auction. Grab your phone, scan it, go check out things. Shout out to Amanda for setting it up so perfectly and cleanly. Shout out to Betty Farmer, again, Professor of Communications, for helping get so much of the resources we have on there. And thank you, thank you, thank you to all of our business partners who've done that. So we'll end how we begin, and I will just end with a bold thank you, thank you, thank you.